All right. Hello, everybody. Oh, and there's Brooke. Wonderful. We see you, Brooke. You're on, so we can hear you.
Yay.
Good. All right. Nothing like little technical difficulties to start off the afternoon. But hey, we made it. You guys made it. We appreciate everyone making the time. Can somebody verify, Mark or Steve? You still see my screen? I'm still sharing? Yep.
Yep,
Wonderful.
looks great.
All
Yep, we
righty.
see it.
Well, hopefully you guys are all in the right place. We're here today to talk about the future of multi-vendor commerce. Unfortunately, my panelists don't have a crystal ball, but they've got some really good insights and some information they hear that they want to share with you around the industry. So without further ado, let's get started. We're going to start today, obviously, with a welcome and housekeeping. We're doing that today, right now. This is being recorded. Your lines are all muted and will remain muted. We will send out the recording also, but also feel free to use the chat to ask questions. We do have time for Q&A at the end, and if we do not get a chance to answer your question, we will follow up with you directly. So please feel free to do that. Next, I'll introduce our panelists. We'll talk about the impact of an acquisition we made. Spoiler alert, Brooke's on the line, so hopefully you recognize her. We're going to talk about how multi-vendor commerce has changed. And then we're going to talk about how retailers and brands are really leveraging and taking control of that situation. And then what areas you need to focus on to win. And then, like I mentioned, we'll end with that Q&A. So again, I alluded to our panelists here. We're going to lead with Brooke, who is the co-founder of Cortina, a Logicbroker company. Mark Detelich is our president and CPO. Steve Norris is the VP of Digital Commerce. And I, Patrick Niersbach, or Pat Niersbach, is the CMO here at Logicbroker. So thank you all for joining us. We appreciate that. For those of you who are on the line who are not familiar with Logicbroker, this is our first webinar of the year, and we're looking to do some more of these. But for those of you who don't know, we are the industry's most flexible multi-vendor commerce platform, really built to seamlessly connect retailers, brands, suppliers, and sellers to orchestrate modern and flexible dropship marketplace fulfillment programs that really focus on growing revenue. What does that all mean? It really means we help you take control of your commerce programs. And we do that in a couple different ways by eliminating the integration barriers, which we'll talk a lot about, allowing you to quickly discover and source new products, giving you the increased visibility and efficiency you need for reporting, and then next level reporting and collaboration for consistent customer experiences. And this is all powered by our modern platform, our people, our process, and the technology that powers that. And so if you don't know, Logicbroker's been around for about a decade, and you can see some of our stats on the right-hand side here. We've done over 63 million orders. We have 300 plus retailer connections. 35 of those are native connectors live in the platform. Process over 2.5 million products, and to date we've done over $24 billion in GMV. So we've kind of done this a little bit, and again, we do this for companies of all sizes across all verticals and all industries. So there's a chance if you are on this webinar and you're interested in learning more, we've probably helped a customer similar to yours. We really take pride in working with our customers and being true partners to them to help them kind of reach their goals. So after the meeting, if you have any questions, let us know. Otherwise, we'd be happy to kind of have a conversation. And then, so on January 11th, we acquired Cortina, which we're super excited about. I'm going to pass the mic over to Brooke, who is one of the co-founders, to talk a little bit about Cortina.
Thanks, Pat. And before we get into the exciting acquisition news, I thought it'd be interesting for our listeners just to go through a little bit of the history of Cortina and how we got here. So, I don't know if you know this, but Cortina started out as a marketplace. Myself and my co-founder, we have been merchants, retailers for the majority of our careers. I was at big department stores like Marshall Field's, Saks Fifth Avenue. He was at Gap Inc. And we really came together at a company called Gilt Group, where we spent the last 8 years and really rose through the ranks together there. After we exited Gilt, it was an interesting time because we had, this was when Gilt was at its heyday, and we really, all of the challenges that we faced there as retailers were fresh on our mind. And we were building our own marketplace and taking all those learnings and how we could correct them. And, the first problem that we overcame, or that was our biggest challenge, was obviously buying inventory. As a new marketplace, we didn't have the capital to go out and purchase products that were going to ship in 6 months. We didn't know if our customers were going to even resonate with those products. So, and then on top of that, we had to warehouse all of that inventory. Second thing, we had to shoot all of that product, which at Gilt was a huge pain point. We had, 10 photography bays running 24/7, the cost that is associated with that. And then lastly, just managing our markdowns and our open to buy, which, if I never sit through another open to buy meeting for the rest of my life, I will be a very happy person. So in building Cortina with those challenges, we built this technology that would connect our e-com to our suppliers and virtually through APIs pull in real-time product inventory, real-time pricing, product descriptions, and all of those images. So we immediately solved for one of the biggest challenges that we faced right there. The second thing as a marketplace was team efficiency. And, at Gilt, we had hundreds of merchants, hundreds of engineers. We didn't, again, have the capital to go out and hire for that. So we built a very small merchandising team, an engineering team, and were, able to efficiently run our marketplace with 3 merchants, 150 brands on the site, like 10,000 SKUs. And operate as efficiently as we have in the past. I mentioned the technology piece. Obviously we built Cortina with the going in knowing that all the suppliers that we were going to connect to didn't have engineering dev teams. We needed to make this as seamless and easy as possible. So we built Cortina to be able to connect to suppliers in 15 minutes without any outside dev work needed. So that was a huge win for us. And then obviously, the last thing is customer acquisition. So we wanted to increase our AOV, LTV, everything, SEO, by pulling in all these additional products through Cortina, we were able to optimize our site and maximize on those KPIs. So, the major common denominator here is Cortina. We built it to save us money as a retailer. That's what we needed to do. That was the pain point that we needed to solve. And eventually, we sold off our marketplace and we started licensing out the tech. And that, we cut these 4 principles, and this is what the Cortina clients, benefited from our learnings. Just the ability to maximize your business through your assortment, through a small and nimble team, through the easy technology, and obviously increasing customer acquisition cost. So we had our marketplace, we sold it, held on to the tech, which we got approached by Logicbroker. We started talking early this fall about an acquisition. When we looked at what they had built in conjunction what we have, it was a perfect fit. Logicbroker is so fantastic with large enterprise type clients. They have a fantastic network of suppliers, and they had so many capabilities that we did not have, and that a lot of our clients had been asking for. So I will let Mark take it over and talk about the two, which are better together.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well, thanks,
and also
Brooke.
the fact that they had a new headquarters in Chicago, and so anyone from Chicago is good in my book.
Well, thanks. No, I appreciate that. And that's a great background, Brooke. We could not be more excited to welcome Cortina into the Logicbroker family. I think as you mentioned, the growth that you guys have had and the shared vision as to how we think we can help our clients in this kind of multi-vendor solution really has us excited going forward. It gives us a really expanded solution when you put both of the platforms together and complete the integration. We've got more sales channels and marketplaces for our sellers to access. We've got more vendors and suppliers for those retailers and marketplaces to source products and capabilities from. You're going to see a lot of improved discovery and sourcing capabilities and features, more partner management and billing and invoicing features and capabilities, as well as just being able to operate both a good solid dropship program or a marketplace program out of a common platform. Really scalable. I think with the addition of Cortina, we've got really the ability to go from very small organizations and sellers and net new retailers all the way through the middle kind of businesses, all the way up into the large enterprises, all within the same platform. So we can really, I think, grow with our clients and know that we can scale the capabilities, scale the volumes, scale the architecture as needed to support everyone as they grow. And that really includes really simple, fast integration. I think Brooke mentioned getting kind of people up and running in minutes or hours by integrating into commerce engines like Shopify and others. And all of that still exists, but is also expanded now by having an actual supplier portal with a UI if needed, as well as APIs and many other integration methods. The deep expertise that's coming with the organization, I think Brooke's background and the rest of the team from Cortina being so deeply embedded in fashion and accessories, shoes, apparel, lifestyle brands, combined with what Logicbroker already had in place, really gives us a very deep capability in terms of that industry vertical, and just could not be more excited for the great team of people that we now have. It really is going to accelerate our development capabilities and provide better, faster, more effective support for everybody that's utilizing the platforms. All of it results in really the best-in-class dropship and marketplace platform. And I think, Pat, if you can flip forward, one of the reasons why we felt like we needed to think about an acquisition of Cortina, Logicbroker has recognized that there's been a real shift in what's happening in the world of multi-vendor commerce and rapidly evolving, lots of value creation opportunities. And so we've continued to invest organically in our roadmap and bringing new capabilities to the table, as well as looking for acquisition opportunities to expand our footprint. Traditionally, companies had to make some decisions. You had to kind of say, if I want to expand my assortment and get all those benefits that Brooke mentioned that Cortina was trying to provide as a value proposition, you had to sort of pick and choose your solution. If you wanted a dropship model with kind of ownership of the capability, ownership of the experience, et cetera, there were platforms out there that did that, but they could not support some of the marketplace capabilities, and vice versa. If you thought you were building a marketplace or wanting to participate in a marketplace, there were platforms there but could not handle maybe some of the dropship capabilities. And in reality, what's happening is that I think companies out there are finding that they need a blend or a combination of some of these decisions that you need to make about how you want your business model to work. For example, you might want a revenue model that is commission-based, but you still want control over what vendors you're allowing to sell on your marketplace and how they present the imagery and data and create the shopper experience for your shoppers. You may have sellers doing direct fulfillment, but maybe at the same time, you want to allow returns to happen through brick and mortar stores that you may have in certain locations. So I think, ultimately what Logicbroker is focused on doing is building the most flexible solution that enables any combination of these business models all within the same platform. And frankly, even some clients who want to do both at the same time. We're super excited to have been recognized by McFadden in their latest Sweet Spot report. I think it really highlights the breadth and depth of the Logicbroker solution across these different business models. And also like to note that Cortina had also been specially called out as a marketplace platform to watch by McFadden in that recently released report. So I think a lot of great momentum here going forward for us. And it's really important, I think, Pat, if you flip to the next slide, it's important to have a rich and scalable platform because our clients need to stay competitive in a rapidly changing industry. You can see here just some stats on, what Target Plus Marketplace and what Walmart Marketplace are doing in terms of adding very large scope of products and growing the assortment and growing the opportunities to offer things to their shoppers. And in fact, what we see across all of retail is that marketplaces are going to be 35% of e-commerce sales by 2027. So rapidly increasing and growing capabilities. And so in order to support and enable that kind of growth and additional scope, I think, Pat, if you'll flip to the next one, you really have to think about not just being able to add additional assortment. Expanding the assortment of styles or SKUs or products is not good enough. It might attract a shopper to your page and get them to come to check out your site, but it's not enough to get them to convert. And if you get them to convert one time, it's not enough to maybe get them to return and be a repeat shopper. They really have to have a great experience holistically in engaging with your marketplace or your site. That means having high quality product data, product content, imagery, having fast and accurate delivery, having an efficient and simple mechanism for interacting and transacting with you, and really even having a great post-purchase experience. So the shoppers today are expecting these kinds of experiences and are very sensitive to the fact that when they get this kind of treatment and have this experience or not. And Pat, if you flip to the next slide, you really can't afford to get it wrong. The stakes are very high. It's expensive to go acquire new customers, and you really don't want to lose existing shoppers. You're not going to get multiple chances to win their business and their loyalty going forward. And so making sure that you've got the right platform to kind of service all of those needs in these various business models is really important. And the costs of these bad experiences can directly hit your bottom line. So what we'd like to spend the rest of the time talking with you about today is where we see some big trends in the future of multi-vendor commerce and how some of the retailers and brands are really addressing this. And I think, Steve, I'll hand it over to you for a few comments there.
Thanks, Mark. I thought we would really look at this kind of in two ways, right? For the group, we'll look at it kind of what's happening now, and then what do we anticipate happening in the future, right? We don't, Pat, to your point, we don't have that crystal ball that we can get out, but we probably can do our best based on what we're seeing in the overall market. What we're seeing is retailers are just constantly battling with this ever-increasing cost to acquire a customer, right? Customer acquisition costs have nearly doubled over the last 5 years and are continuing to move north, right? So retailers are starting to take control of their own destiny, right? And lower the cost to acquire a customer while delivering a unique and kind of truly differentiated e-commerce experience for their shoppers through curating an expanded set of assortment that's really what I like to call the perfect or the best aisle for their customers, right? And also as a part of that, providing the best aisle for their customers, there's a part of it that they want to allow the supplier to participate more meaningfully in the transaction, right? Maybe they want the supplier to provide the product content or do some of the price setting or offer a promotion as a part of it. It's that blend that Mark talked about earlier, where you don't have to think about those trade-offs of the things that you want to do. You really can have the best of both worlds from within one platform. And to be kind of very clear, it's not just lowering cost to acquire a customer. This is also helping drive basket sizes and customer lifetime value substantially higher. And it's giving retailers this broader set of first-party data, because more people are checking out on their site. They're seeing more customers shop this expanded assortment to better understand their customers so they can deliver more personalized experiences. Everybody on this call shops online, I feel like, all the time, maybe some of us more so than others. There's a lot of digital sameness, right? Like you can go to several different sites and have kind of the same experience, But what's interesting is when you go to a site and something's new and it kind of pops out and it's more personalized for you and you see the products that you want immediately, it just makes that shopping experience extremely frictionless for somebody to be able to go and find the products that they need and be able to check out from one site versus going here, there, and everywhere to find a product. But we take that and we flip that around when we think about people like brands, right? And we're seeing brands really try to get better control over the constant battle they have to show up every year with year-over-year growth, both in revenue, size of customer list, right, and customer lifetime value, while still having protection of their brand image, right? They always want to show up and they want to look like and feel like and smell like the brand that they represent, right? And part of this is brands that we're seeing finding new and unique sales channels to be able to sell their products on. And a lot of this is around meeting your customers where they're at, but a lot of it too is about finding new and different audiences for your products, right? You couldn't sell on TikTok 2 years ago, right? But now you can get on and you can be selling to a whole new generation of people that are only enjoying this live shopping and video shopping experience, right? Whether that's on TikTok or even some of our customers like Flippin' Soon. They also brands are starting to look at, how do I sell complementary products to tell the rest of this customer story, right? It's 2024. It makes plenty of sense to probably all of us on this call that if I'm a manufacturer of great high quality computer monitors, why shouldn't I also be able to sell the keyboard and the webcam without having to spend a bunch of money in manufacturing and to be able to build something that maybe I'm not an expert in? This is helping brands find new D2C revenue as they exist today. And really, as we think about it, we live in this world and we've been in this space probably, a little over a decade where retailers are becoming brands and brands are becoming retailers. And what do you need to be able to support those motions? You need a flexible platform like Logicbroker. Pat, if you want to go to the next slide there, that allows organizations to be able to have really the most flexible multi-vendor commerce platform that not only allows retailers and distributors and brands to be able to operate a drop ship or curated marketplace or a wholesale procurement program in one platform, but also to be able to take that and flip that to easily allow organizations to be able to use our platform to participate in these programs and sell through various different retail dropship programs and marketplaces. And again, that's whether they're participating in direct-to-consumer commerce, they're participating in B2B, or in many cases, participating in a blend of those opportunities. So I think what we should do now is let's get out a little bit of our crystal ball. And Brooke, I'm going to ask you to help me in some of these key areas. So I hope you brought your your forward-looking glasses to the meeting. When we think about like winning in the future and what that looks like for organizations that want to participate in multi-vendor commerce, the future is really bright, but you have to plan for it, right? There's a lot of things that are happening now that are reducing the friction for any seller to participate in a marketplace, right? If we look at the world as it existed a decade ago, and marketplaces like Amazon and eBay and to some extent Walmart, there was a lot of friction in participating in those marketplaces, but there are technology providers that are knocking down those barriers, right? Half the battle in some of these cases is finding the products and suppliers of products that you want to be able to sell. This is great that your merchandising team has identified there's assortment gap. It's great that there's new categories they want to sell in, but how do they find the people that want to participate in these? Then how do you get visibility, right? You're putting your brand on the line, your reputation on the line as you think about starting a dropship program or a marketplace program. How do you make sure there's visibility from the time the customer checks out to the time that product shows up on that customer's doorstep? And how do you get the reporting and the technology and the people that'll be able to help you scale and really grow the program? So we'll dive into some of those particular pieces now. If you think about One of the biggest barriers in success in starting a marketplace program, or growing a dropship program, or automating wholesale procurement, oftentimes that it's the suppliers have a varying and disparate level of technical sophistication across that entire community. You really can't grow or launch a marketplace or dropship program if you can't find suppliers and sellers that can participate, or if it takes months, if not years, to be able to onboard on the platform. And Logicbroker, combined with Cortina, has done a great job of providing an industry-leading number of connection methods that suppliers can connect to our platform, removing the technical friction that exists in somebody trying to participate in a marketplace or a dropship program that you're starting. Oftentimes, what we see in the market is there are suppliers that have a low level of technical sophistication, or simply just want to start in a manual process so they can start selling, they can dip their toe in the water, and they can participate. And many of those people use the Logicbroker portal to upload their products, update inventory availability, fulfill orders, do their invoicing, maybe process returns. And then others may say, hey, I want to exchange CSV or Excel formats so that I can import and export those out of my QuickBooks environment, because I'm getting a little bit more volume. I want to be a little bit more integrated, but my technical systems are still fairly light. But there's also this part of the supplier community that might be areas of folks on this call's core assortment that are CPGs like Procter & Gamble and Colgate-Palmolive, right? Or maybe they're industrial suppliers like Alcoa and Worth, right? Those folks do EDI and do CXML literally every single day because they already have the systems to be able to process it. So it's much easier for them to adopt something like XML or EDI because they already have capabilities to exchange those types of data. Lastly, there's kind of this subsection of folks that are continuing to grow that are digitally native brands, right? These are folks that are going online and they're selling, and they don't see the value in investing in an EDI infrastructure, but they also are processing too much volume to be able to really work with a web-based portal. Those folks will either use the Logicbroker API and integrate directly to our platform, or they'll leverage some of the things that Mark talked about earlier around our out-of-the-box connectors, so that we can connect and harvest product data and catalog information and inventory and pricing and order fulfillment information directly out of their Shopify environment or their ShipStation environment, really reducing the friction that suppliers have to go through in order to be able to participate in the program, allowing merchants to be able to more easily onboard new sources of supply and new types of products. And we're giving the merchants and retailers full visibility into that process from within our platform, so they can invite new brands, new suppliers, new distributors to their program and see specifically where they're at in the testing process and onboarding process in real time. And one of the things that we do, it's a bit different than some of our competitors in this space, is we've removed the idea that a supplier has to pay us a fee to participate in a Logicbroker or Cortina marketplace or dropship program. So after the supplier's invited to our platform, Logicbroker and Cortina don't have to negotiate a contract directly with them so that they pay us some sort of money. They participate in the program as a part of that sponsorship they have with the marketplace or the dropship program. And once invited to the platform, our white glove onboarding team and operations team jump in to shepherd that supplier through the testing, through the integration process, and answer any technical or operational questions that come up about the overall program, not just in the onboarding, but in the overall run rate of the business. What we've seen in a lot of the programs that we work with, whether that's at Walgreens or Victoria's Secret or Ace Hardware or Airmail, right? We're seeing that kind of across the board, that this is alleviating the need for a retailer or merchant to have to staff a full supplier help desk, right? It's allowing the program to continue to scale without a continual labor investment by the retailer or the operator. One of the areas that we've seen really good success is at BBQGuys. BBQGuys came to us. We've been working with BBQGuys for a little over 4 years now. They had a supplier community when they started of about 50 suppliers. we've helped them grow that program to over 600 suppliers of barbecue and outdoor related products. And what we've really done for them is streamline that onboarding process so much because of that integration flexibility. They can now onboard a new supplier in under 52 minutes. And their supplier community makes use of all those different integration methods that we saw a little bit earlier. Now, we talked about a little bit earlier, and Brooke, here's where I would love your insight as being a merchant, and I really appreciate your experience, is around how in the future a platform can help somebody that's starting or growing a marketplace or a dropship program identify new areas of assortment and new suppliers they can work with.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the features that we developed for Cortina is our discovery portal. And that allows any retailer to go in, filter by category, or look at the entire list, but to filter it down to what specifically they're interested in, and have the opportunity to view that supplier's website, check out the types of products that they're offering, and then connect with them directly. And this is all through the platform, so they can send an email that goes directly to them saying that they're interested in featuring their products. The two of them, the retailer and the supplier, can start the conversation. We're not involved, and it just facilitates that like fast, easy onboarding that you spoke about. Takes out the middleman, which everyone is grateful for.
And I think part of it too is enabling organizations to be able to find new suppliers and new products in the future, whether they're in the network or not, right? Like when we think about how multi-vendor e-commerce was operating 10 years ago, it took so long to onboard suppliers that you had to go and ask, okay, well, how many of these suppliers are already connected or plugged into your network, right? Part of the future is how quickly you can onboard people that are not on your platform, and how do you help people discover that content, and how do you let suppliers and retailers collaborate on things like this product content, right? Because as a merchant, as a retailer, I'm thinking about, okay, I'm getting this information from the supplier. How do I make it my own? How do I put it my own voice? How do I give it my own branding? Maybe I want to do something around the price setting around it. All before, and collaborate on that, all before I launch that up directly to my website or into a PIM or into my internal systems. What this is allowing directly in the Logicbroker platform as it exists today is just this high level of curation, right? That allows organizations to be able to collaborate better with their suppliers on this content to make sure that the data is perfect before it gets presented to the customer, which helps cut down on things that Mark talked about around returns and some of the other statistics that we saw a little bit earlier. We've seen these capabilities from within our platform allow retailers to be able to launch new product catalogs from a supplier, in some cases in under 15 minutes, like you mentioned earlier, Brooke. And then what's really kind of interesting and kind of transformative is that we can give the supplier back the link to the product display page so they can see what the final product looks like, right? And a lot of times I feel like you don't see that until you go out to the website and just click refresh and refresh and refresh until it's up there, right? And I think a good example of where our discovery portal has really helped, and Brooke, feel free to talk a little bit more about this, is really with our customer Monica and Andy.
Yes, Monica and Andy, this is a great example. For those of you not familiar with them, so they are a kids website marketplace, and they focus on really their own core product. They have branded product. They're also a wholesaler. So they have a lot going on, and they came to us because they wanted to get into other categories such as, kids' toys, gear, strollers, etc. And that would take them away from focusing on what they are, good at, the private label and their own products. So we brought in all these additional suppliers through Cortina, which they discovered in our discovery portal. And they, started partnering with great book suppliers and toys and turned this into a huge success very quickly without a lot of effort. And again, with, one team member that was just focused on this.
So we've talked a little bit about how the suppliers get on board and how any seller can participate in a marketplace. We talked about product discovery and collaboration. Now, how do we make sure that these products get to your customer's doorstep, right? And how do we make sure that you have the visibility that you need to be successful if somebody calls you like Pat and says, Steve, where's my order, right? As companies continue to expand their assortment, they can't help but think that they're putting their brand image on the line, right? Because if something doesn't come to me as a shopper, I'm not blaming the person that was supposed to ship it. I'm blaming the person that I bought it from in the first place, right? And we talked a little bit about those stats earlier. It surprises me that in 2024, there are multi-vendor commerce platforms that don't give you full visibility to this process, right? Logicbroker has been delivering full visibility across the entire order fulfillment lifecycle for the last 13 years. And now is offering capabilities around providing full visibility across that whole product content lifecycle. This is allowing the retailer and operator to see everything that's happening in real time that's a part of the program. It's allowing them to receive proactive alerting around things like non-compliance and be able to collaborate back and forth from within the platform when there are questions or when there are discrepancies. In many cases, what we've also seen is that our portal is helping level up some of these suppliers that are a part of some of these programs, giving them the capabilities to not just process orders, but to be able to generate some of the important business documents they need to be able to do their work, right? There may be requirements for the supplier to generate a branded packing slip. There may be requirements for them to generate a shipping label on the retailer's account. There may be internal requirements that they need to be able to print a picking list that they can then send somebody out to the warehouse to go and grab products. Those can all happen directly from within the Logicbroker portal, or those same documents can be harvested from our platform through those myriad of integration methods that you saw earlier. And when I think about compliance, I can't help but think of all the work that we've done for our customer, HD Supply. HD Supply, they came to Logicbroker with a major business challenge. They had 2.5 employees that worked in their warehouse every day. That sole job was to fix bad shipping details or manually go in and enter that information in so that those products could be received into their distribution centers. This was all a matter of bad content that they were getting from their suppliers. By implementing Logicbroker and our business rule validation and compliance validation, all of those suppliers are now receiving errors immediately when they send the bad data so that they can resolve it before their products show up at an HD Supply warehouse. This has allowed HD Supply in the last year to open a warehouse in Denver that's fully automated. They couldn't have done that before as a part of that process. So in Denver, they opened up a facility that allows them to be able to automate an entire receiving process using things like robots, right? In order to be able to do that, they couldn't do that before because of all the manual effort that they had to spend re-entering or fixing bad content. And those 2.5 employees got repurposed from like basic data entry to be able to help with things like outbound shipping to make sure their products were getting to the customers that they work with and the contractors that they work with as soon as possible. Understanding kind of like now that we understand that products are getting to our customers and that we found products to sell and that any seller can participate, now I got to make sure that I have a good understanding of how this program's even performing, right? And that could be the program's performance, that could be the supplier's performance, it could be product performance. All of that's important in the decision-making process of growing and optimizing these programs. This type of information is informing things like supplier selection, right? Merchandising strategy, and ensuring your customer has the same experience every single time, regardless if it's you as the retailer fulfilling it, you as the brand fulfilling it, a third-party fulfillment party, whether it's a dropship supplier, a marketplace seller, or a 3PL, your customer's expecting the same experience every time. And many of the platforms that are out there are still requiring organizations to, we're all familiar with BYOB, right? And what that means, I call this the kind of the BYOA model, right? It's bring your own analytics in a lot of these platforms. So what Logicbroker has allowed from within our platform is we're giving real-time analytics and scorecarding directly from within our platform. So we're giving visibility to over 100 KPIs, including key details on product performance, things like commonly returned items and why they were returned, right? And return reasons, commonly canceled products, things like vendor on time and in full performance, and many others. These are accessible directly in our platform, as you can see here, that is greatly displayed on our screen, but these are also available to be aggregated out of our platform so that they could be exported into your internal systems for things like aggregate reporting. So if your organization is saying, hey, I need better insight into the program, you can do that directly from within the dropship platform. But if you want to take that back and aggregate it with other data, like first-party wholesale fulfillment that may be happening in other platforms, if you want to take that and combine that with some of your sales metrics, it's easily exported from our platform and harvested via API or a simple scheduled export in order to be able to take into overall internal systems. When I think about the success we've had there, we've had great success with organizations like Walgreens, right? That use our real-time analytics to keep a pulse on the success of their dropship program. So they can immediately go on our platform and understand and assess things like lost sales scenarios, to do root cause analysis about why orders are being canceled, why products are being returned, and getting really deep granular details about product performance and capabilities that help them inform merchandising and the marketing decisions that they're going to make, that they make to continue to raise awareness for their expanded assortment and continue to think about how do they find other suppliers of like or similar products when there are situations like out of stock, right? When you think about certain categories that you might sell in, areas like perfume oftentimes are being provided through a myriad of distributor channels, right? When it comes to direct-to-consumer fulfillment. So it may make sense as your organization understands, hey, there are products that are out of stock, to go build relationships to have secondary and tertiary suppliers of some of these same products in order to make sure you always have the products that your customer craves and is looking for. But how do you really scale this thing? You understand the performance, you know the products are getting to your customers, you found these great products that you want to be able to sell, and all of these people that could possibly sell are participating. How do you scale this thing and blow it out of the water, right? It's not just technology to help your business, right? A lot of it is technology, but it's really kind of 3 P's as I look at it. It's product, but it's also people and process, right? When you think about Logicbroker in platforms as a product, it's important to have scalability, right? And that the solution is a part of the hyperscaling cloud and can process millions of API calls and billions of dollars of GMV that Pat talked about in the early innings of this webinar. It's important that the platform is secure. It's important that it's being protected. Your data is being protected and it's encrypted in transit and rest. It's important that it's shocking that I have to say this, it's important that the product is online and working, right? So resiliency is a part of it, making sure that there's guaranteed uptime, right? And being able to support this infinite nines uptime with no data breaches. It's important that you can reach a global audience, right? Many organizations are coming to us and saying, listen, Logicbroker, can you help me sell in other countries? I'm really kicking some rear here in the US, but I want to be able to go out and I want to expand. I want to find new opportunities in Southeast Asia because that market's booming from an e-commerce perspective. Can you help me find inroads into participating in commerce in Europe? Can you help me find inroads in Northern Africa to sell on some of these marketplaces? These are things that Logicbroker is doing while maintaining compliance across the program, whether that's things like California Consumer Protection Act, whether that's international compliance around GDPR, whether it's the robust PII requirements and the redaction of those requirements that are required in order to participate in many of the US marketplaces, those are all things that we're doing from a product perspective. But equally important is the people that we have behind this. Because many organizations look at scaling an expanded assortment program and their multi-vendor commerce as being a linear growth trajectory where also the resources that are participating in it are growing linearly as well. If you adopt technology that requires you to continue to grow staffing as you continue to scale, then you're not really using the technology to the best of your capabilities, right? And that's really where our vendor onboarding team and support team really come into play to be able to execute a true differentiator in the market to help organizations grow their multi-vendor commerce program through collaborating on areas like category expansion and assortment white space reviewing and suggesting suppliers of products that are already in our network of now over, with Logicbroker plus Cortina, over 8,000 suppliers that are a part of our overall network. This ensures that organizations don't have to spend their time and resources answering maybe technical questions from sellers or suppliers that maybe they don't have a team prepared to answer, right? Many organizations, if you call them and ask them about where in the API does this particular field go, they're going to look at you cross-eyed because they couldn't spell it if you gave them 3 tries, right? And it's probably even worse from an EDI perspective. We're answering those technical questions. We become the first line of defense for those retailers and merchants and distributors that we work with, so that we're fielding those questions because we're experts in those areas like integration and onboarding processes and how to get things working with some add-on that you have for Shopify, right? These are things that we can help organizations navigate as they continue to grow and expand so they don't have to grow and expand their teams in order to see better revenue results, larger assortment, larger grouping of suppliers. And when I think about that overall program and our team's ability to help and that product plus people plus process policy that we have, really Fullbeauty brands is kind of a key area where we've focused. And you heard Brooke talk a lot about kind of the work she did at Co-Edition and Guilt and several other major retailers, right? Fullbeauty brands kind of falls in line with that. They're an over $1 billion in revenue women's apparel retailer, right? And they really transitioned from a legacy dropship platform they have that was causing some challenges for them at scale over to Logicbroker and expanded their capabilities to not just offer dropship, but also offer a marketplace to be able to enable brands to be able to sell on their website. Because what they found was that the dropship program was doing really good and continuing to grow under Logicbroker, but there was a contingent of brands that they wanted to allow to participate in areas like accessories that preferred more of a marketplace model, where Fullbeauty brands was saying, hey, we want to allow them to set the pricing and them to set the imagery with guardrails in place to make sure that they're following by the brand guidelines and requirements. And our ability to help them quickly grow their product assortment with validated product content allowed them to grow their assortment for both dropship and marketplace products in a way that increased not just average order value, but allowed them to be able to open up a whole new e-commerce site with just marketplace products on it. And you can check that out at onestopplus.com if you want to see what that looked like after our webinar here.
Awesome. Well, that was good. That was a lot of information. I think, Steve, you really kicked some rear there, so I appreciate that one, and keeping it PG for everybody out there. We appreciate that. I'm going to check the questions here. Bear with me. I'm going to hope I can do this all with one screen here. We did have a couple that have come in. The first question that came in was, what about Cortina sparked interest for Logicbroker?
Sure. I mean, I'll take that. I mean, I think that the Cortina growth and the integrated platform that Brooke was able to build there with their colleagues and the team, the integrations into the commerce engines and the ability to just get businesses up and running and transacting so quickly was fantastic. And we knew that that would be a good complement to Logicbroker, in terms of our ability to make sure that for the smaller business market that we had a solution that was fast and simple and effective and would allow people to scale up into bigger enterprises kind of as they go. So great, client references, great delivery of value, like the case study that we saw from Monica and Andy. So I think there were just too many exciting things to pass up there. So again, super excited to have them as part of the family.
Love it, love it. And reminder, the Q&A lines are still open, so we got a few questions asked still, but if you have any questions, feel free to work them in. We'll try and answer them. So next question that came in was, how has the industry evolved really to support multi-vendor commerce?
I can take that one. I think that, when you looked at how multi-vendor commerce worked a decade or more ago, it just took forever to do anything, right? You oftentimes what you would do is you'd go out and you'd select a provider, and there would be this ongoing drudge of trying to onboard new suppliers onto a program that wasn't just like the contractual ooze, it was the technology side of things, right? Because if we look at the way multi-vendor commerce operated 10 or 15 years ago, it was, hey, you use this portal or you do EDI or else, right? Which significantly limited the number of people that could participate, right? And significantly expanded the time that it took to stand up a program, right? Like when I can remember in kind of the early innings of e-commerce, I was working with an industrial distributor that was trying to launch a marketplace, right? And that industrial distributor spent over 2 years implementing some technology to be able to support a marketplace, to then go out and find that when they went to recruit people, the product content that they had in that industry wasn't particularly great. So they did quite a bit of work in order to be able to enable this process and enable people to sell. But adding new suppliers to that program took 3, 4, 5 months and a ton of effort on their side, right? Now you're talking about being able to go in, and we've had great success with organizations like Rush Market recently, that we've been able to stand up an entire dropship program with nearly 100 suppliers on in about 6 to 8 weeks, right? So the speed to value has really changed in some of these technology solutions, especially those that can allow suppliers to just work within the technology that they already have in place. And I mean, you heard Brooke talk about, hey, we can get some of these connections up in 15 minutes. 10 years ago, you couldn't get them stood up in 15 days.
15 weeks.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, especially in today's day and age.
Yeah, I would like to, I just want to add to that. I think,
Good.
going back to when we started the marketplace, going out and talking to suppliers and saying, hey, will you drop ship for me? People were like, what? And I don't understand what you're talking about. And now, I mean, it's so common, for suppliers not to take advantage of this, to get their product on a new retailer's site, get new eyes on it, reach a customer organically that they might not have reached with their own D2C. It really is the future, and everyone should be doing it.
Yeah, love it. Today's day and age too. I think Stevie talked on time to value. It's so important, right? There's no longer time to invest in something and wait 6 to 9 months to get the value on it. You need to get that value right away.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, next question. Oh, Brooke, this one's going to be for you, and I like this one. What should Cortina customers be most excited for about the acquisition?
Ooh, there's so much, but I think, our customers have been asking us like, what is coming down? What's in the roadmap? What's in the pipeline for reporting? So just to see, Steve, go through, your robust reporting and all the offerings that you have there is going to be a huge, um, it will be so well received by Cortina customers. The fact that they can look at best-selling products, shipping lead times, et cetera, out of stocks, that has been frequently requested by us, as well as the international capabilities that you have. So I'm super excited for those too. We have a lot of great customers that want to work with partners, foreign currencies, et cetera. So that'll be a huge win for them.
Awesome. Well, we're excited to talk to them and have everyone kind of learn more what we can do. I think we'll do one more question so we leave people with a little time before their next meeting, because I'm sure everyone is back to back, but appreciate everyone making time. I'm going to go throw a softball out there, kind of. Maybe the three of you could kind of, I'll take a quick shot at this. What are people not talking about yet that will be here in the next 5 years as it relates to our industry, our technology, our space? Not everybody at once.
What are they?
Crystal ball. Let's finish with the crystal ball we started with.
What are they not talking about?
Yeah, I think, some of the other, big trends, like I think we mentioned already, these business models are going to converge, right? This pure play dropship, pure play marketplace, et cetera. It really is becoming an environment where, you need to define your business model. And I think that, people that are operating marketplaces, on the MOA side of things, the marketplace operations, are going to be thinking about new kinds of revenue sources, right? We see a lot about retail media coming to the forefront. You see a lot about where is AI going to help me pick assortment extensions, right? Where's it going to help me find assortment gaps? Where's it going to help me improve product descriptions or generative information? There's so many advancements in these technologies and these business models that I think we're just going to see e-commerce continue to grow at a very rapid pace. And, for organizations to be able to continue to participate in that, you're going to have to be participating in a multi-vendor, kind of environment as one of your key sales channels.
Awesome.
I was gonna say AI, but I feel like everybody's talking about AI, so that probably throws that out. But I think what a lot of people aren't thinking about and where the market is headed is around being able to control margins as a retailer or a merchant, right? When you're operating a marketplace, in many cases, you're kind of beholden to the commission. If you're operating on a commission model, you're kind of beholden to the commission that gets set by Amazon, right? Like in many cases, organizations just don't have the reach or the customer base to be able to command more commission than somebody like Amazon. And as Amazon continues to grow and get bigger, as Walmart and Target Plus continue to grow and get bigger, you may see those commission rates come down, and so inevitably will yours, right? So having this scenario where you can operate a marketplace, but you also could protect some of the margins by moving some of those products into more of a drop ship model where you've negotiated margins, right? And are doing maybe a little bit more of the heavy lifting, or even thinking about bringing products into owned inventory. Your organization probably isn't thinking today about opening a distribution center. Maybe they are, maybe they're not. But, do you partner with a 3PL so you could get these bulk discounts on products and guarantee inventory availability for your products that your customers love and need, that may be longer lead times, higher demand items, that may exist in your supply chain? Having that ability to move people kind of across across like a promotional path to say, hey, they're a great marketplace seller with some great items. Maybe they moved to drop ship, or maybe they moved into owned inventory, and the ability to be able to do the opposite and essentially delegate people down through the ranks, right? Maybe you move some inventory that's collecting dust, but your customer loves out from your warehouse and into more of this drop ship model because you have demand for it. You just don't have that type of demand for it. Being able to control margins and making sure you're not beholden to the three major retailers changing some of their models, I think is going to be really important in the next 5 to 10 years as there's a battle for more of the share of the customers, declining wallet size.
Awesome. Brooke, anything to add, or should we wrap it up?
I was going to say AI as well, but obviously everyone's talking about that. But I think, from the retailer's perspective, there's so much that can be done with the merchandising and the assortment, from personalization. We're talking about endless aisle for some of these customers. How are you serving up the exact product that I want to see, and making, we touched on it a little bit earlier, but just that really unique shopping experience that I'm seeing, what interests me, as well as I think there's so much for retailers to do as far as like localized source product, taking advantage of some, smaller providers just in the vicinity that they could, drop ship to customers, and just keep the shopping experience fresh and exciting and unique just for those geo-targeted markets.
I love it. I love it. Well, great stuff, everybody. Thank you for participating, and thank you all for joining. If you want to learn more about anything we have to offer at Logicbroker, you know where to find us, www.logicbroker.com. Thank you all, and then look for an email soon with the follow-up information and the copy of the webinar. Thanks for joining, and thank you all for participating.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.